I'm John Rentoul, Chief Political Commentator for The Independent. All the parties have published their pledges for the election now, so let's rattle through them. The Labour Party, their most important promise is 40,000 new NHS appointments to try and clear the backlog. That's going to be paid for by abolishing non-dom status. That's people who technically are domiciled outside the UK, and so they don't pay tax on all their earnings, like the Prime Minister's wife. Labour's second pledge is 6,500 new teachers in state schools. That's going to be paid for by putting VAT on private school fees. Third big pledge from Labour is GB Energy, a new energy company, or is it an investment vehicle? Nobody really knows, but it sounds very good and it goes down extremely well every time Keir Starmer mentions it, so they stick that in. And finally, Border Command is another thing that Keir Starmer is going to set up to control our borders and stop the boats. Instead of stop the boats, the slogan is smash the gangs. I suspect that's probably going to be about as successful. The Conservatives, they opened their election campaign by promising to bring back national service, which was rather surprising. Only it's not national service as people remember it. It's voluntary activity for young people, although it will be compulsory. The military option will be voluntary. The main pledge that the Conservatives are making in their manifesto, of course, is tax cuts. 2 pence in the pound off national insurance for everybody. That's the third cut that the Conservatives are making. They're promising to make that cut if they win the election, which of course looks like a rather remote possibility now. The Tories' third pledge is the Rwanda policy of deporting migrants who arrive in small boats to Rwanda. Rishi Sunak says the flights will take off as soon as he's back in Downing Street if he wins the election. There's some scepticism about that, of course, because they could be challenged in the courts. And then finally, the Conservatives have also promised to build more houses than Labour. They say they're going to build 1.6 million houses in the next 5 years, whereas Labour's only promising 1.5 million. And neither of those promises is particularly believable. The Liberal Democrats, their promises focus on dealing with the problem of sewage in our rivers and beaches. They want to spend more money on children's mental health and social care. The way they're going to raise the funds is a little bit opaque, if you ask me. They're going to tax share buybacks. Nobody understands what those are, and so that's a fairly safe source of imaginary money. The Green Party. Now, the Green Party manifesto is interesting because it's got some humongous promises, spending promises in it. They're going to spend vast amounts on public services, the NHS, schools, and renationalising a lot of industries. And they're going to pay for it by swinging tax increases, which they say will fall on the rich, but the numbers are so large that it's difficult to see how they're going to get that money out of just a small number of plutocrats. Finally, there's Reform, whose big issue is immigration. They say that the government has failed to stop the boats, which is obviously true. But when you press Nigel Farage on what his alternative policy would be, it is essentially to go to war with France. His Reform Party manifesto says that migrants who arrive on the beaches of Kent will be taken back to French ports and dumped on the quayside there. And if the French object to that, then we'll have a big row with them. I'm not sure how credible a policy that really is. So that's my roundup of the 5 main party manifestos. You can keep up with all the election news on the Independent website.